Good morning and welcome to Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business Development Business Management System Vendor Training. My name is Maribel Feliciano and I'm the Director of the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development, or OESBD for short. And today you will have the opportunity to learn more about the new OESBD Business Management System powered by B2G Now. The business management system basically includes multiple modules that have been divided into a series of training sessions. They include a small business certification for new applications and renewals, ability for primes to submit their monthly utilization reports electronically through the system, and for certified firms to complete their payment verifications, all being done electronically through this new system. In addition to that, we will have airport concessions and a lot of other OESBD functions to ensure compliance with our small business participation programs. The new BMS system goes live on January 26, and these training sessions are being recorded and they will be available to all of you through our YouTube channel, allowing our vendors and certified firms the opportunity to refer back to the training. OESBD and the BMS staff are available to provide technical assistance as needed during the trainings and after the training. Now we're going to go ahead and proceed with today's session. Today's session is primarily focused on the online certification application for the local small business program. And that includes both for new applications and for the renewal process. This is going to be a more streamlined process for all of you as part of the renewals. At the end of the training, all of you will have the opportunity to ask any questions you may have. We will have a live Q&A session at the end of the training. I hope all of you are ready because now we're going to go ahead and get started with the small business certification application training.
Thank you for joining the live training for the online certification application. This training is for users seeking to become certified with one of our customers or primarily with Broward County. We will get started here now. B2G Now is a worldwide supplier management software utilized by over 400 organizations across the country, including state agencies, city, school districts, and also Broward County. Our customers use B2G Now system to track subcontractor utilization, certifications, pre-qualifications, or registrations, and more. You have joined this class or this session because you are working with Broward County or additional clients and you're seeking to learn more about navigating the system specifically for certification. In this class, we'll specifically speak on certification tracking and the application process. This training is designed for vendors seeking a new certification status with a government agency or certified agency like Broward County, who does business with B2G Now. If you are here, chances are you already are aware that you're working with Broward County, so this should be pretty easy to follow through. This is also good for those that may be new to the system but have already taken the introduction to the system session. For we will go over a lot of the basic concepts like logging into your system. We will not re-review that information again. So if you need a little help, I would certainly suggest going back, reviewing the introduction to the system class before moving on to this class. You are welcome to pause if we're utilizing this as a video, or if you're here in a standard training, I would suggest that you actually just listen through the class for the standard training and then come back later and watch the video and walk through it along if you would like to. Okay, some things might be identical and some things might be a little different, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, these are the areas that we're going to walk through today. We're going to go through the portal page of the certifying organization and what to look for there and what buttons to look for when applying for certification. We're going to talk about how to select the application, so the welcome content, the eligibility statements, what you want to read through before moving forward. We're going to talk about what we call our decision tree, which is a series of statements that requires you to make a selection. And then we'll talk through the eligibility requirements and the document list preview. Then we'll talk about completing the application section, so adding supporting documents, mandatory versus required documents, and then electronically faxing. And then we'll go through the final steps, so how to sign or print the application. We won't Broward County does not require payment of information, but just be mindful if you are working with the agency that utilizes B2G now that does require payment. There is a next step for that. So we'll just gloss over it. And then lastly, we'll talk about the help and support, the video libraries, and even that training user guide that's available. In some of my standard classes, I typically get questions about how do I find additional agencies that does certifications. Broward County is exclusive to the certifications that they have, but there are also agencies in the state of Florida that have local and federal programs. So you'll want to make sure that you're applying to the appropriate one. I also get questions about bidding opportunities. How do I find that within the Broward County system? You'll want to do that Google search and find that in their appropriate areas. At this point, they won't be allowing or having those opportunities here. Certainly do not necessarily need to be certified to bid on contracts or be part of work, but it's, also something good to have and work with. I also suggest, just as a quick little tidbit, attend local meet and greet events hosted by Broward County or other agencies around, just to get your name out there. So I like to put this little tidbit in there just for those that were wondering, what do I do after I get certified? Most agencies utilize the B2G Now system for the online application. Will have an option on the front of their portal that will look very similar to what you see here. You'll see a apply for certification button. In Broward County, we'll have something very similar. When you click on that, you'll be brought to a welcome page, a little page that looks like this. Typically, there's additional details at the top of the screen here. They'll provide you with information for the agency contact. So if you have questions about your certification or even just the certification, you can reach out to them. I would suggest first getting logged in and reading through, because once you get logged in, you'll also see the eligibility information about this certification record, which I'll show you in just a moment. You can either look up an account. So if you took the introduction to the class, I showed you how to go through the lookup account process, and I talked to you about what is important to remember when coming in here and looking up your account first. You can also create an account. So if you have never worked with the B2G Now system before, you can go in to create an account from here. I would certainly suggest, I'm sorry, it's not a suggestion. What's happening in the system is that once you put your information in, it will ask for your tax ID, and it'll do a quick validation to make sure you don't already have an account. So if you do have an account, it'll flag it to say you have an account, but if you don't have an account already, it'll allow you to go through without needing to create that account. If you know your username and password, so if you've worked with other agencies like maybe a Broward Public Schools, you've worked with maybe Miami-Dade County or some other agencies within the state of Florida, you already have an account created, so you can just simply log in. Okay, so those are your options for logging into the system. Once you've logged into the system, you will be taken to what we call our welcome page, and it looks similar to what you see here. Be mindful if the certification action you are taking, you're a new applicant, seeking certification from Broward County for the first time. Be mindful of what certification that is, and take note of their qualifications. So this welcome page will give you information about this agency, and it'll also show you these buttons here where you can click on the qualifications for each one. I would certainly suggest read through that information first before starting the application. Next, we have what we call our decision tree, which is a series of statements that direct you to the correct application each time. Here is a sample of one of Broward County's of what theirs look like. You'll just start off with identifying, are you currently certified or you're not currently certified? Okay, so current certification is regardless of if you've done the certification through this system or not. If you have an active certification with Broward County, you would select currently certified. If you don't have an active one, if it's expired or lapsed or you never became certified, you may need to select your firm as not currently certified. Okay, before we get into the system, which we were about to do now, I want to give a couple of reminders. When filling out questions on the application, you need to always fill them from left to right. Okay, so this one is an example of a question on one of the new applications. Notice here, the top one, you have the name, title, date appointed, ethnicity, and gender. And so those things are captured. You'll want to make sure you fill in that information from left to right fully. If you have multiple officers, so this is asking identify your firm's officers. So if you have multiple officers, you want to list out all of those officers separately. For those that are required, they'll be notated in a red asterisk. Otherwise, you'll see a yellow box that makes them optional. So make sure you fill in that information that's optional. We're going to talk about documents. So mandatory and required documents. Mandatory documents are documents that must be uploaded. Required documents are documents applicable to your organization. So if, let's say, for example, we're going to show you an example of a potential required document that you'll want to make sure that you provide that's applicable to your organization. All right, let's go ahead and let's get logged in. So I spared you from watching me type. So I logged in to Broward County, and under key actions, I can also view that application from here as well. All right, so I can see the list of applications listed here. Okay, as mentioned earlier, you have what we call our welcome page here. I, again, highly suggest you read the requirements before moving forward. So read what they're saying are you have to have requirements for eligibility. So this one is personal net worth per owner is less than 1.32 million and so on and so forth. Okay, so make sure that you're going through that process to read and review the information. Once you've read and reviewed the information, you now have what we call our decision tree that you will select an option from. So you'll come down here. If you're already certified and you just want to make a note to update your certification, submit your annual update, you can do that. Identify which certification you're certified under and submit your annual update where is needed. If you are not currently certified with Broward County, you'll just come in here and click the not currently certified and select the certification you're seeking certification for. So if you're seeking for CBE, small business enterprise certification, you'll want to make the selection. Are you located in Broward County or are you not? You know, you want to be honest there so that you have that information and you're submitting the right application. If you are, then it'll take you to the application that you can choose from. Okay, because that application is a little longer, I'm going to, for my training purposes, I'm going to say I'm currently certified and I want to submit an annual update. Oh, another thing that I also want to, before we submit the application, I want to draw your attention. If you're currently certified, and you want to make an update to your profile, Broward County does allow you to do that here from the decision tree. So you'll just select, I would like to make an update to my certification profile or report a material change, and then follow the decision tree requirements. So if you want to just update your business name, that's totally fine. This is or your address or fax or so. This is the easy form that you fill in. Broward County will receive it, and they'll uh, approve or ask for additional information if they need. If you need to update a commodity code, this is a whole a different process, and it'll look similar to what you'll see in just a moment as we fill in the application. But this is just asking you to provide that material information. So if you're making those changes, you can submit that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's click on any of the applications. So I've clicked on the application. There's some information up top here. Certainly suggest reading through that information. If you ever get stuck, there are additional manuals. So there's this need help section here and user manual where you can take or you can read through the process of applying for certification. This is a general manual that can be used for any process, or you can sign up for one of our other general classes that we do. We're going to scroll down here under company and contact information. You want to identify the business name. Now, if you're the type that have multiple businesses, please make sure that business that you want to be certified, you're logged into that account. Now, that's where it does get a little different. So you will have different accounts for different businesses, but you will only have one account for the same business. So we're using subflooring, and we just want to be certified with under subflooring. That's my only business. Your email address, your company email, and your company type. Remember, some of these things pre-populate from that profile. We talked about that during that introduction to the system class and how to keep that updated. This will pre-populate, but this is just an editable field. So if you need to make a change now to this, please do. Make that update here, and then you can go back later and update your profile. Same with your company type. You want to update your company type here, add, if you need to. This is directly correlating to your document list. We're going to see that in just a moment. So which documents you provide is related to whatever you select here. So make sure you're selecting the appropriate company type. The autofill option gives you the option to kind of save your phalanges or your fingers from typing a lot if you filled in similar applications throughout the areas or the nations you've worked with, right? So you could use your account information like your business profile. We talked about that in introduction to the system. You can use that to autofill some areas, or you could use previous applications that you've worked on to autofill some of that information, okay? And if it's available, you'll see a little bubble for selecting it. Now, I have a lot of testing, so you probably won't see your list look this large. All right, eligibility requirements. This is here just another confirmation to make sure you're in the right place. All right, so make sure you answer this information truthfully and move forward. Once you've made your selections here, you'll click on continue. From this point, you have not yet started the application, but you're in the preview of that application. And this here is what we call our document list preview. Notice here at the top is the document list preview for corporations, because I selected in the previous screen that I'm a corporation as a company type. Remember, I just said that the documents are associated. Okay. Now you can scroll down here and look at the mandatory documents and the required documents. Mandatory documents are required. You have to provide those mandatory documents to this agency in order to even submit the application. Required documents are required if it's applicable to you. So if, for example, if you have copies of state or county competency professional licenses, you need to provide that. If that's applicable to you, please ensure that you're providing that information. Same goes with any of these others here. If there's additional information that you want to provide or documentation, you can also provide it here under that additional documentation not listed above. We put this document list here for you because sometimes it takes a little time for you to gather this information. And so one thing you'll notice if I scroll up a little bit in this red box here, there's a timeline. You have 90 days to submit this application before it deletes automatically out of the system. The purpose of this submission timeline is to ensure that we keep the quality of our database and we don't have just lingering applications out there for years on years on years. So before you get ready to start the application, I would certainly suggest have your documents together, okay, so that you can just get it all completed all in one swoop. You never know what might happen between now and when you actually want to submit that application, okay? So we're good. I have my personal net worth documents, my tax returns, my Broward County tax receipts, and I also have those required documents that's applicable to me ready, and I'm ready to submit this application right now. So I'm just going to click on this checkbox, and I'm going to click continue. The other thing I want to make note before I hit continue is that these documents are different for each application type or certification type you're applying for. So this one is our renewal, our annual update. But if we were submitting for new, we might have more documents or less documents. So keep that in mind. And what you see here is not inclusive of all applications. All right, let's go ahead and click continue. Now I have started the application. All right. I want to just go over a couple things about this section. You have the information about the application listed here. You have your status, which we know is incomplete. You have the application number. Every application is assigned a number. This is just for technical reasons. This is a B2G Now number that's assigned. So let's say you have a problem, you're having challenges with submitting the application, and you need our tech support to help you. You simply give them the application number that you're working on, and we're able to go to that application pretty quickly and help you with resolving that issue. And it'll be useful in just a moment. I'm going to show you another reason why this application is necessary. All the applications have a specific date for deletion. Please keep in mind of this date. So you need to have this application filled out and completed before it's deleted by this date. There is opportunities in some cases for you to extend it, but be careful because there are some agencies that have limits on this extension date. So make sure that you're extending only for the time frame that you're able to extend, and keep it mindful. It extends for 7 days. So if you hit that extension date, it'll extend 7 days from that date. Contact person. This is the person that actually created the record, the application. You can change the contact person, but if you do that, you will lose access to the application. If you want somebody else to have access to this application and you still maintain access, let me show you what to do. You're going to scroll up here and go to the Utilities tab. And on the Utilities tab, in the middle here, you have this option to get access to specific users. Now remember, I told you about this application number on the first tab. This is important, especially if you're granting one of our customer support, which is any of these users here, access to your application. We're going to need to know that application number so that we can support you. Okay, so here you can also grant access to any of your users within subflooring, and then there's additional users. So maybe the agency staff, you want to grant them access to this application, you can do that here as well. All right, when you're granting someone access, you can grant them to as little as 1 hour to as much as permanently, and everything in between. You just simply select that time frame and then click on grant access. It's going to ask you to confirm yes, and now they have access. Look here at this access list. They have access, and it tells you the access start and end date. You can't come in here and revoke their access at any point. And then it keeps the history here of that application or the access points and what's going on. All right. If for any reason you need to manually delete this application, you can by clicking on delete annual update if you need to. All right, let's go back here to the main tab. And on the main tab here, we're going to scroll down here to sections and documentation. Now, this is where the meat is happening of the application. You have, again, each application have its own number of sections. So I'm using this as the annual update so I can spare your life from having to watch me type and make errors. But each section, when they are incomplete, you'll see this red arrow, red box. It'll also say it's incomplete, and it'll keep track here of the number of questions that you've answered and completed along the way. Okay, so to fill it in, you'll just click on this fill in button here, and it'll take you to the section that you need to fill in. Some things to highlight. Required answers are identified with a red asterisk, and the box will be red. Optional is a yellow box, and that just indicates also that it hasn't been completed or filled in. And complete means that it's green. So let's take a look at, let's go ahead and fill in some areas. All right, so we're in section 1, legal name. It pre-filled for me. I didn't type that in because of that profile information. So did my FEN, my business. My county didn't pre-fill, and it's required, so I need to make sure I enter that. My phone number pre-filled, my email. This is a very specific question. Are we registered? We'll say yes here. And once we filled in all the information, we're going to click save and return. Now, you could save this as draft. So you could fill this in and say, oh, shoot, I don't remember if I am registered with BPRO. If I'm not, I can just navigate away from this and go check to see if I'm registered or register if I need to do that. So I could save it as a draft or just save and return to summary. So that's what we're going to do. And notice here, I filled in all of the areas. It's now green. I've got a green check mark, and it also says complete. So we can go through any of these sections in any order if we want to. So if we want to immediately fill in the doc list next, we can, or we could just go to section 2. So I'm just going to go to section 2 because I like to go through order. All right, again, same type of features. The section have required areas. This is a good one. So like if this one here, have there been any changes to the ownership of the company in the last 12 months? If I said yes, I must enter what changes, the changes in the box next to it. Okay, so just make sure that you're being mindful of that. Here it's asking me for my gross receipt, so make sure that we're providing the gross receipts. I just went in all types of order here. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. This is why you want to be spared from watching me type. All right. For the sake of typing, I'm going to enter that. Notice here, I identified the year ending. I entered the total receipts. This does require you to do it for the previous years, 3 years. So you need to make sure you're entering the gross receipts for those 3 years. Okay. All right. This is another good one. Remember earlier before we got into the system, I told you that you want to fill out the questions from left to right. All right, so this one is asking list all licenses held. So I do have licenses as my example, and we're going to make sure that we fill in from left to right. Okay, so who is the holder? Okay, type of license. What is the expiration date? I'll say 20. There we go. What is the license number? And then the state of the license. Okay? So very simple. If I have more licenses, I can just go ahead and add that license. Remember, left to right. If I run out of space, there's this link here where you can save the page and add more licenses to this line. Okay? So make sure that you're filling it all from left to right. Don't go down to the next line unless you have another license or something else to report. All right. You see here under this question, it's very similar. All right. All right. We're going to just go ahead and click none, no's, and we're going to click save and return. There are chances and opportunities that when you save it and you come back here, this is red. Just go back and look at the questions, because let me hit this edit again. Notice here, everything is green. So if something is missing, it'll show in red it's missing, and it's easy for you to respond to. All right, cancel that. Last thing here is the document list here on that screen. Now, the document list allows you to attach documents. There are two options of attaching. You can attach it through the upload from your computer, or you can fax it in. You don't have to have a different fax number. Actually, the fax number is located on the screen, the cover page itself. I'm not going to go through the details of that because it is really self-explanatory. Most people, though, utilize the attaching feature. So we're going to go ahead and click on attach. You can attach over up to 100 megabytes. Anything over that will be rejected. You can attach as many files as you need to. So I'm going to click here and browse my computer. And let's use that one. Give it a brief description. Okay. All right. I promise I won't do any more typing. So you can browse, you can drag files as well here into this drag and drop feature. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click upload. Again, if I had another one, I can click on attach. Let's see, use that one as our example, and we can upload. So upload as much as you need to, and then you can view that file or download that file just to make sure you're attaching the right one. Notice here, so in this example, you have a downloadable file that you need to download first to fill in. So it looks like they want you to download it, fill in the details, and then upload that file here. Okay, so just be mindful of that. All right, I have a couple more that I need to attach. Okay. So I've got all of my files attached. Now listen, y'all saw me attach these files, and these don't look like the files they're requesting. I'm going to say to you, don't just attach anything to submit the application. Please make sure you're attaching the actual corporate federal forms. Whatever they're asking here, make sure you're attaching that, because you risk your application not being processed or being returned to you, and that could delay the process and delay your certification and could have an adverse effect. So make sure you're attaching the right documents here. All right, so I've attached all of the mandatory documents. So remember, mandatory documents are required for everyone. Let's scroll down. Are there any required documents I need to attach? Now remember, in my application, I did say that I had a professional license. And so if I said that in my application, I definitely need to make sure that I'm attaching that a professional license information here in the application. All right, otherwise, if the rest of this does not apply to me, I'll just check mark this box here. So select the check mark and then click on lock in. And it's going to ask you to confirm yes. And it's locked in. Okay, so I've noted this is not applicable to me. All righty. All right, I've completed. Let's go back to the main page here. I've completed all 3 sections, and you'll probably notice that this top bar here have now turned yellow, orange, type of color, and it also is giving me an indicator that I need to now sign the application. So if I'm happy, good to go for it, my status is update, let's go ahead and sign the application. I can click this link, or I could go up here to this tab and click on signature. Either way, it'll take me to the sign section. You'll want to read through that and add your signature. Okay, or it's Lucy, that's my name. Okay, so you'll want to add that information and then validate and sign. All right, from here, we have not submitted the application. Once the application is submitted, it cannot be withdrawn or taken back, but you do have an option here. If you want to view the application again, make an edit. Maybe you forgot to add a document. You can edit that here as well. And if you're utilizing this system for other agencies, if you need to pay, this is where it all happened. But for them, for Broward County, no payment or anything is necessary. You're just going to go straight to submitting your annual application or whatever application it is. All right, so you'll check on this box to confirm and certify and acknowledge. And then you'll click submit. Let's do it. It's saying, are you sure? Because again, once you submit it, you can't take it back. I'm sure. Let's click OK. And it has now been submitted. It is ready. You have the application information. I often get this question in some of my general classes. When can I expect a final determination? Or what do I expect next? This is what the agency is sharing here. It's within 90 days, they'll provide you with information. They may ask for additional documentation. So I certainly suggest reading this screen. You can print this application for your records. Take note of that app number. So if you have questions about the application process and the application, you can reach out to the agency and say, hey, this is my application number. You know, what is the status or whatever on that? Okay, let's go here. I'm going to go here to the cert list, I think. Hold on. Let me see here. Oh, okay. You guys, they do have the supplemental. Let's say you forgot to add something. You can click on submit supplemental information. This is a one-directional document. You could say, hey, I forgot to add this document or add this context. You can type in that information here. Attach, you can say I'm not attaching, or I am attaching, or I'm submitting it by fax, or I'm dropping it off. You can click next to review, and then you're all good to go there. So that's one thing that you can use that's one directional directly to the agency. We're going to go back here to our cert list. And you'll remember in the introduction to the system, we briefly went over this page. So you have all of your applications listed here. And notice this application is submitted and pending receipt. Okay, so there are different processes that can happen. If once the agency have received your application, you'll see this received and in process. All right, once they've completed, whether they've approved it, they've denied it, you've withdrawn, you will see the process complete once the final decision is made. Okay, so that's what you're looking for when it comes to viewing your application and your status. For any applications that's approved, you can view that information here under current certifications. Okay, we've talked a lot about going to support. In a lot of these pages, you have this help and tools here at the top. I was down here at the bottom. At the bottom, you have customer support that's available as well, and you also have help and support. You can take additional training classes, watch this video again, and watch other videos like it if you would like to get more information. Now, in this session, we talked about a lot. We talked about how to get started, where to go for the portal page, how to apply for certification. We talked about that welcome page. And remember that before you start the application, certainly suggest reading those eligibility statements and understanding the eligibility process. Then we talked about the decision tree. What do you need to do to apply, which application you're going to select, and reviewing and previewing that document list and how that's the beginning of the process of submitting the application. Then we went through completing the application sections. So, how to add the supporting documents, how to add the questions, reading them from adding information from left to right where required in those tables. And we talked about the electronic uploading or even faxing your documents. And then we went through those final steps. I glossed over, like I said, if there was any payment information. There's not a requirement for Broward County, but if you're working with other agencies, it's applicable. And then you how to sign, review, print, and lastly, we talked about some additional help and support tools. Thank you again for joining.
Thank you everyone for participating in today's certification application training session. And now we're going to open it up for questions from our audience. If everybody could please type the questions as part of the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Andrew from B2G Now. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Maribel. Thank you for having me on today.
Of course. So let's see if we have any questions from our participants as part of the training session today that basically covered our online certification application for the local program, that is the County Business Enterprise, and the Small Business Enterprise certification application. That's Broward County's local program. Do we have any questions on the chat, Andrew?
I'm not seeing any come in now, but while everyone kind of gets their thoughts together and starts sending some in, I do just want to make a quick note that today we did review a new application, but for any sort of renewal, the process is the same. So while that wasn't covered in detail today, accessing applications, walking through the questions and content and submitting those along with any sort of required or mandatory documents, all of those processes are the same, whether you're working through a renewal or a new application. The only difference is the actual content of the application based on the type of application.
Thank you, Andrew. And for our local certification application, our certified firms have to renew annually. And we send them, the system is going to be sending them reminder emails a few weeks before the certification is due, your anniversary date. You're going to get email reminders at 60 days before, 30 days before, to remind you that you need to submit your renewal application and detailed information as it relates to how to submit that renewal application. And we want everybody to know that the Office of Economic and Small Business Development staff is available to provide assistance. If you have any questions, we can meet with you one-on-one. We are at the Levin Center for Innovation at Nova Southeastern University the first and third Friday of the month. And you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with us to go over your certification application or to go over your renewal. We are here to assist you. And of course, our B2G Now staff is also available if you have any technical questions about this system. Do we have any questions on the chat? I think all the information was covered, Andrew, as part of the training.
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. So
we don't have any additional questions.
Just wanted to mention. We actually have just had one come in. Lon Wilkinson, you mentioned that once we have applied, how do we bid and know what the bid perimeter amount is? Should we, or how the bid perimeter amount should have the job?
Thank you, Andrew, for that question. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for the questions. So basically, the bidding process is through our vendor management system. That's Broward County's vendor management system, which is BPRO. And our office can connect with you, the participants that are asking those questions, to make sure that you are registered as a county vendor in BPRO. If you go to our website, you will be able to access the link to the BPRO the system that purchasing uses, the county uses, to post our solicitations. It's completely free to use BPRO. You register as a county vendor. It's very simple to do. And then you start getting email notifications when the county is procuring the goods, materials, or services that you provide. The purchasing division also has a vendor management section that can provide assistance as well. So we encourage all of you, if you have any questions about the county's procurement process, if you're one of our certified small businesses that just got certified, when we send you that congratulations letter that tells you congratulations, you're now certified with our Broward County local program, right there on that letter, you will see the link to the BPRO as well. We verify that you're a vendor before we certify you, but we also provide that information as part of the welcome letter that you will receive when you get certified with us. Something else I wanted to share with our audience today, Andrew, is for the local certification application, once you submit a complete application, it takes our office 30 to 45 days to review the application and provide a response to you. If additional information is needed, we will submit, you will receive an email through the system requesting that additional information. And if you have any questions, you can always call our office and we'll be glad to assist you.
Thanks, Maribel. We are seeing in the chat, Interact Group has asked, do I need to be a citizen to be certified, even if I'm the owner of the company registered in Florida? So according to Broward County's program, we have not identified this requirement for a local program. However, we will require copies of personal and corporate taxes. So just be prepared with additional documentation that may be needed for certification approval.
Yes, Andrew. So basically for our local certification program, that's the small business enterprise and the county business enterprise. We are certifying the business. Therefore, information related to citizenship or legal resident is not required as part of your certification application. Any additional questions from our audience?
Freddie Ramirez has asked, he would like to know if the next training that we're talking about would be how to apply for bid opportunities. Freddie, unfortunately, this is not a part of the B2G Now training that we're focusing on. I believe Maribel may be able to speak to any additional trainings or offerings for systems that would be surrounding bid opportunities. Maribel, do you have any information on that?
Yes, definitely. Next year, please be aware that we are going to be providing training on working in collaboration with our purchasing division on how to participate in the county's procurement process. We want to make sure that our certified small businesses understand the county procurement process. We have actually a training session that's called You're Certified Now What? And that training session is basically for my new certified firms to understand the county's procurement process, to understand what do you need to do after you get certified, to understand the requirements of those bids or those RFPs or RLIs, and what is it that you need to do to be successful as you're submitting those proposals, etc. In addition to that, we have a small business boot camp that we do annually as well for companies that have been successful securing contracts. So that's additional information that we'll be sharing with our local certified small businesses to make sure that you understand the county's procurement process. And a lot of these training sessions, you can find them, the ones from previous years, on our YouTube channel. So we encourage you to visit our OESBD YouTube channel to get some information on previous sessions, but we will be doing additional new sessions again in 2026 as well.
Perfect. I'm just seeing one more question come in mentioning how long do I have to have a business open before I can become a vendor? Maribel, do you have any
Yes,
thoughts on the requirements?
excellent question. Excellent question from our participants. For our local certification, you have to be in business in Broward County for at least 1 year before you apply for our local certification. We have on our website the checklist of the various documents you need to submit in order to submit a successful application with all the required documents. And some of those include your Broward County business tax receipt, your city business tax receipt. And of course, we need those documents for the previous year that you have been in business here in Broward County.
Perfect. We can give it a moment. I'm not seeing any other questions come in, but if anyone has anything, now would be the time.
And while we see if there's additional questions, just want to make sure our participants know that the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development staff is here to provide assistance as we are migrating into our new system. We are thrilled that all our information, all our processes are going to be part of the business management system in collaboration again with B2G Now. And we're here to provide assistance as you have questions on how to become a vendor as part of this system, how to register as a vendor in the system for our certified businesses, how to process your renewals for any new businesses, how to submit your new certification application. Our staff is here to provide assistance to you. And again, if you have any technical questions about the system, our B2G Now partners are also available to provide assistance. And we received a few questions today about the county's procurement process. Yes, we do work in collaboration with our purchasing division to make sure our businesses and our vendors understand the county's procurement process. And we will continue to provide training sessions as part of that to make sure that you are successful submitting your bids, quotes, RFPs, etc. And again, having no additional questions from our audience, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. And please contact the Office of Economic and Small Business Development if we can be of assistance. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.